Good morning, everybody. How many people have actually used AR in advertising at all? Show of hands. How many people have actually seen it? Okay, a few more. Well, in today's session, I'm going to be explaining why AR is important and how it can work for a wealth of brands across digital. There's no doubt that augmented reality can make a huge impact for brands. We heard Jed earlier talking about how it's used in fashion. And of course, it's exciting, it's a brand new format. But today I want to move beyond that excitement and actually identify whether it is actually worth having AR on your plans and actually see if it can be measurable. But before we get stuck into the ins and outs of using AR, I just want to introduce to you Alastair Goode, who is going to be talking today about AR in the here and now and the role it's playing currently.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, so I'm a psychologist. I work in VR and AR. Firstly, I want you to think about the Metaverse. We've heard about the Metaverse earlier. Metaverse is kind of being owned a bit by Meta at the moment, but it's more than that. It's all about different kinds of XR, extended reality, like augment. Hello? No, we're not going to run, are we? Never mind. Smiles at the doesn't matter. Anyway, but augmented reality, you can't know what it is. You see stuff and it moves. You have your device and it can move around it, whatever. But there's a challenge in this, and it's a gimmick at the moment, but it's a different kind of experience to other digital. It's an immersive experience. And it's, we've seen a lot of good research. It's very black box. You start, you take some metrics, you do some AR, and then at the back end, it works. So our mission at Gorilla in the Room is to try and correct the metrics. No, it's not going to happen for me. Don't worry. Try and correct the metrics that what happens when you see and how many people are moving around, or from the movement data to try and show exactly what's going on and diagnose why experiences work so well. There we go.
Oh, whoops. Thanks, Alastair. So the COVID pandemic has had an unexpected catalyst for accelerating the use of AR and VR and tech solutions in general. In a survey run by Yahoo and YouGov, they said that 3/4 of Europeans now expect digital experiences and interactions with brands to be seamless, innovative, and enhance our real world. And actually that moves to 91% when we look at 18 to 24-year-olds. Another study commissioned by Yahoo about 2 years ago, though, said there was real barriers to the use of AR. Those barriers being poor measurement capabilities, a lack of technical understanding, cost concerns, and fears of low customer adoption, and not being really sure how AR can fit into their campaigns. Some of these still continue, and our industry is now inviting us to explore new ways that we can measure AR. AR it's not new, it's been around a few years, but the measuring of it is in its infancy. The first and most important thing for advertisers, from a research perspective, is why is it worth investing in AR in the first place when you can use lots of other different formats? Forward-thinking brands in the retail sector, as we saw with Jed, with automotive and entertainment, they have been delivering AR now to consumers for a while, whilst other categories are still in its infancy. We have seen that a shift in the way AR and VR is used, broadly speaking, in the entertainment space has been used well. But that's because it comes with a sense of playfulness. When we saw the ad there, we were watching it in 2D. Actually, in an AR experience, it would actually be in the environment that you're in, and you can interact with the Pringles packet and turn the hand and change all sorts of things. So it makes sense that it sits sort of in an entertainment space. But what about other categories? In retail, as Jed said earlier, it's useful because it actually adds a level of realism and convenience to us. So I think for AR to be adopted in the future, you need that sense of playfulness, but also the sense of realism and convenience. As always, the measurement technique is important here. to have faith in the data collected, and to see how it works. So this led us to the Pringles case study that myself, Sarah, on device ran with Yahoo. So with Yahoo, the Pringles campaign that you just saw was trying to reposition itself as a snack for gamers. And it was running along a lot of the normal platforms that you'd expect, but it was also running in AR. The problem was the AR experience was actually running on Xbox. So the typical methodology that we use on device to measure that experience, we couldn't use because we couldn't tag Xbox. There's lots of privacy rules around that. So we had to come up with a new way of measuring AR to make sure that people actually experience the full immersive capabilities, but also to be able to measure AR against the other platforms. What Yahoo were trying to work out was whether it was giving them a good return on investment. Was it worth investing in that inventory, having it in the way it has, above other platforms? So did it actually work? Did it actually shift brand perceptions? Well, before I move on to that, I just want to explain how we measured it. So at On Device, we own our own app called Curious Cat. It's a survey app. So what we were able to do is actually send our panelists, who were pre-screened as gamers and in the right demographic, we were then able to seamlessly send them to Gorilla in the Room's app called Discover AR. So if anyone wants some time, just download that app and you'll get a feel for what it's like. In that experience then, our panelists could actually click on the real experience. And in that experience, they saw that ad, but they were able to, it actually was showing the background they were in, and they could interact with it. In fact, Gorilla in the Room measured whether people interact with it, where they dwelled. You could turn the hand round, use lots of fun features in there. So you could actually experience the actual full immersive capabilities. It's all well and good seeing it on a 2D screen like we saw there, but actually you were actually getting the full benefits of the AR. We were then able to use our normal methodology after they'd experienced it and actually send them a brand uplift questionnaire 24 to 48 hours after exposure. We also measured the other platforms that Yahoo were using, so their native platforms, pre-roll, etc., etc. We used the same brand questionnaire, so we could actually then measure the AR experience against the other platforms. So did it work? So the key metrics that Pringles were looking at was obviously spontaneous awareness, top of mind awareness, so they wanted to make sure they were top of all the scacks for gaming, favourability, a snack for me, and purchase intent. Now the figures in the circles show the uplifts. So we measure uplifts between a control, those who haven't been exposed, to an exposed group. They show the uplifts for the campaign as a whole. The campaign was very good. It actually outperformed our norms a lot. But underneath, you'll see the results for AR. And as you can see there, across the board, the actual full immersive AR capabilities was actually outperforming the other parts of the campaign, showing that it was actually giving a good return on investment. But we took it one step further. We also exposed people to the 2D experience that you saw there. So we just showed people the video on the phone, not the full immersive aspects of it. And again, you can see brand uplift there. And for the top end of the funnel, so for awareness, spontaneous awareness, and favourability, the AR experience was having a much bigger impact than the other platforms, than actually just seeing that video that you just saw in 2D on the phone. The other thing we measured was actually what people thought about the ad. So we asked people, when we ask questionnaires, we have 5 favourable statements, 5 negative, 1 neutral. And as you'll see here, across the board for the campaign, actually, it outperformed our norms. 73% of people were emotionally engaged with the ad. They had a positive reaction to it. But for the AR experience, it was at 83. That's the best format that we've measured in our formats at On Device across our benchmarks. And not only that, we asked people for feedback. And as you'll see there, there's been some comments there about it's fun, imaginative. It made it stand out. In a world where we're trying to gain attention, it made it stand out above others. There was still a little bit of resonance, though, in there. You'll see it was quite random and didn't relate to the product, which just shows that there is some way yet to go for the sort of adoption of AR as a format. So what for the future? Let me hand you back to Alastair.
Thank you. So basically, we're still in the discovery stages, even though we know a lot about what AR does, and we're starting to get a real feel for how it fits into the media mix. Secondly, one case study, I said we can't look at everything, but we're doing a lot more work behind the scenes on what we think is going on. And there's a sort of a understanding of how it's going to fit into the brand funnel, obviously. And there's lots of kind of identifications of where it sits within the media mix. And we've still got to identify a lot of them, but what it does is phenomenologically different to all other digital media. So we think there's something that's really interesting for clients to potentially use in the future.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.